In this video, I'm going to cover how I photograph waterfalls. First, we will look at the equipment, and then we'll talk about technique and look at some pictures. There are plenty of techniques, but this is the technique that I have used that I feel works well for me. First, let's look at some equipment that I'm using. You're going to be shooting long exposures usually to capture the movement of the water. And to do that, you're going to want to have a good tripod to sit the camera on to basically not to eliminate movement of the camera when the shutter's open. You're also going to want to have a way to remotely release the shutter. So either a remote release or you're going to use the timer on your camera. And the final thing that I find very useful is a neutral density filter with a polarizer in it, which is very useful. So this has a circular polarizer that's inside, that's on this filter, as well as an adjustable neutral density filter that allows me to control the amount of light that is coming through to the sensor in the camera. Waterfall photography is great on cloudy days. Cloud cover helps eliminate any reflection off the water. If it's a cloudy day, start looking for waterfall locations, grab your camera and head on out. Really, any weather is good weather for photographing waterfalls. When you get to your site and get set up, remember to move around a lot. Try to get different angles and move around horizontally and vertically. So remember to get low. This provides a different perspective which viewers will find interesting. If the waterfall you're photographing is the cascading type, think about the right height and angle to capture the different levels of the cascade. You might need to back away and then zoom in to capture the full effect. Using a telephoto lens will compress the scene. Getting low and using a wide angle lens will provide you more depth to your photograph. I also prefer using high f-stop numbers like we do in landscape photography. It provides more focus depth and it also provides slower shutter speeds. Please keep in mind this is how I photograph waterfalls. You should develop your own techniques that you enjoy and find it pleasing. Let's take a look at some photographs now. So here are some pictures that are shot at different shutter speeds. This first one is shot at I think 1/4 of a second. And you can see that there is still some definition inside of the waterfall. You can see some drops of water splashing up. And then as we look at the next picture, it's shot at 1.3 seconds. And the water is becoming more milky. It's slightly milky. And if you look down at the bottom of the water, and we'll look at this a little closer in a second, but the water's kind of blending together and the surface is becoming smoother. And in the next picture, this is shot, I believe, at 6 seconds. And the water is looking much more milky now, and the surface on the pool at the bottom of the fall is becoming more smoothed over. So let's look at where the waterfall hits the pool at the bottom there. And you can see the 1/4 of a second picture compared to the 6 second picture. The 6 second picture, the surface of the water is completely smooth. The water coming down is pretty milky. The one on the left, the 1/4 of a second is really, you can still make out some detail on the water. The water's not quite as milky. So one's not better than the other, to be honest with you. They're just different. And depending on what you're trying to accomplish, you may use a shorter or a longer shutter speed. So let's look at these pictures. This we talked up to 6 seconds on the previous photograph, right? But these are in Padley Gorge in the Peak District in the UK. And this first picture was taken at 2 seconds. But then in the second picture, same waterfall, it's a 15-second exposure. And you can see it's really smoothed out the pool at the bottom of the waterfall. And the water is really milky on this one. And there's some nice colors in there. And then the final one, which is actually just down from the first waterfall I was talking about at Padley Gorge. You can see it kind of in the top of this picture, but the water, this is a 30-second exposure, and the water is really milky in this one. It's lost a lot of its definition. It's just really flowing through there. It looks really nice. So anyway, that's inside of this with really long exposures for the waterfalls. So this next picture is Summerhill Force again, but now we're down the stream and we were talking about composition with cascading waterfalls. And this is a cascade here. You can see down at the bottom of the picture, we got our first little drop, and then up a little bit, we got another drop, and then all the way up to the main drop at Summerhill Force where it comes over that cliff there. So you basically want to get up far enough where you can see all these drops in the picture and capture them. And so if we sat down too low, we would cut off some of those drops. And if we get too high, it's not very interesting. So we're trying to get low, but not so low we can't see all of the drops on the waterfall in this type of cascade. So remember, we talked in composition you need to get low. So this is Blackling Waterfall back in the North Pinions, County Durham in the UK. And you can see I've taken this picture. It's really nothing special of this waterfall. But let's look if we get low on the waterfall and redo the composition. So as you can see, as you drop down, this looks a lot more interesting. We've got some stones in the foreground to provide some interest, a little different angle of the waterfall, where we're down about a foot off the water, and so it is just a more interesting photograph than the one where we're just standing and looking at it from a regular height that we would normally. So I've done this video kind of as a precursor because I'm going to do another group of videos that are more focused on going out and doing on-site visits to different things, different places, and looking at basically how easy is it to get to, what's there to shoot, and that sort of thing. And so the first ones I'm going to do are these waterfalls that I visited in County Durham. So stay tuned for those videos, and if you would, please click like and subscribe. That would really help me out a lot, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.